Hello, my spider friends. If you're like me and you grew up in the 90s, you may be familiar with this, the Furby. What you may not be familiar with is this, the long Furby. This is my first child. His name is Clark Kentish Pizza Wave. As is tradition with long Furbies, they have a long name. And I first encountered long Furbies through a channel called Strange Aeons, who I love, who'd made their own long Furby. And when I saw that, I immediately went on a Furby buying spree to buy Furbies to make into long Furbies. Now, I made some rules for myself. One, I didn't want to use a Furby that was actually still working. So this is an original 1998 Furby. However, it was not working when I bought him and gutted him and turned him into this. He has a little bit of a spinal deformity, but that's okay because I love him anyway. When you make a long Furby, you take a Furby, you sort of gut it, and then you put in an aperture, a spine aperture, so that it can be like bent and twisted and moved around. And these are quite expensive, but you can get something that's similar on the cheap. This is already glued into one that I've yet to elongate. This is actually it's a plumbing pipe. And you can glue them together to make them longer, but these are relatively cheap. You can get like, I think you can get them for about like less than £2 each if you're buying them in bulk. So this is one that's going to be a long Furby. This is a McDonald's one. And the reason this one hasn't been made into a long Furby yet is because I have yet to find like material that I can pattern match. This one was relatively easy because it was black and brown. Now I couldn't get matching brown fur, but I could get this like teddy bear black fur. And I did actually do it as a panel, and I didn't just like make a draft excluder. And the feet have been like reattached, and the tail, and it didn't really take that long to make in terms of sewing. Actually, the longest part is gutting them, particularly this one because it was a full Furby, so I had to like take out all of the mechanical parts. Eyes had to be glued so that they are open, because once I put the stuffing in, they were just shutting. The mouth should be able to open because his aperture's actually attached to the mouthpiece, but it doesn't work very well. This was my first one, so this was a bit of an experiment, but I love him. He's met my best friend. He's met my mum, who is Nana, obviously. But I didn't want him to be an only child, so I used this McDonald's Furby, which I was able to find a roughly pattern matched fur. And this one obviously is significantly longer. He's his little feetsies transferred. This is 3 apertures tied to glued together, and with this one I can like tie him in a knot. If I, because he's long enough to be able to tie in a knot. So this is his younger brother. This is Clark Kentish Pizza Wave's younger brother. His name is Jacen, Toddler, Wildberry, Milkshake. And these are my children now. I'm never going to have any human children, so just going to have long Furby children. And I used his leftover fur to make his belly panel, which I had to sort of sew up a little bit because of the foot removal process. He doesn't have a tail. He has this little mohawk, so he doesn't have a tail on the end, but I am going to get one and then sew it in place because I'm still able to to do that. But this one's spine aperture works a lot better because it's longer. His spine aperture doesn't work that well, but it does work. He can't hold in place because he's too short. He's a short, long Furby. He's a long, long Furby. So yeah, these are my children now.